Hey everybody, welcome to the Human Reaction Podcast. I'm David Rand, running solo tonight. Let's get salty, everybody. Ow! All right. So we're chatting about Thomas Massie, and Trump went down to Kentucky. The devil, no, he's not the devil. The president went down to Kentucky to support the devil and is running against the best congressman that we have currently today. Really excited to talk to you guys about it today. Let's get going. On Trump's very first midterm campaign stop to shape the future of the Republican Party, he decided to stop doing whatever he does in prosecuting their war in Iran and fly to Kentucky to support Ed Gallerin. I'm going to say Gallerin. Ed Gallerin and his run against Thomas Massie for Kentucky's 4th District. It basically was a Trump campaign rally where Trump talked the whole time about a bunch of stuff, is what it appears to be. But he did, while campaigning in Kentucky, in an election year in which he is not actually on the ballot, invited the gentleman who's supposed to unseat Thomas Massie to the stage. Let's check it out.
Ed, would you come up for a minute, please? Mr. President, welcome to Kentucky and thanks for coming to the heartland. Because you are loved and admired here for your courageous leadership of our great nation at such a critical time in history. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you. This is the land of we the people, right here. I want to thank you for your endorsement, because once you did that, my support skyrocketed. So I look forward to serving to the people as their representative of Kentucky District 4. Because as you folks know, you deserve an authentic, true Republican conservative that stands shoulder to shoulder with our president and the Republican Party and against the Democrats who are trying to destroy our nation. USA, USA, USA. So, Mr. President, I will stand with you and the party to put America first and Kentucky always. Mr. President, I hope the fake news gets this. Tom Massie stands with the ladies of The View. Tom Massie stands with the ladies of The View. Mr. President, we stand with you. Fight, fight, fight! USA! USA!
That last fight was a little bit a little off register. I must say, it kind of has a Howard Dean feel to it. It kind of has a kind of. I don't know if you remember that particular clip. I know Dan McKnight had a great skit on that. He nailed it perfectly. It's interesting to me. This kind of he hasn't been doing enough campaigning. That's pretty clear. Has a pretty rough speech. Register wasn't real great. His delivery was very. It just wasn't polished for speaking in front of the president, and apparently hasn't been doing a sufficient amount of campaign stops come March for the president. Might have surprised him coming down a little bit early. Interesting little bit there. You know, especially the I don't know, boomerism. Like, who cares about the ladies on The View? Like, Tom Massie stands with the ladies on The View. Like, when we're talking about the moment that we're in right now, the context, the feel. Now maybe for a certain set of people in America, maybe older folks, that's like an accurate model. That could be the model. We could be looking, it's a window into the Fox News watching world here. where if you're a very regular consumer, nothing wrong with watching Fox News on occasion, but if this is like the only way that you get information, you might find this a compelling narrative for how you should vote. You might see the world in terms of the Democrat in this moment, the moment we're in, not the moment when Kamala Harris was trying to become president, and we had a walking corpse as our actual president, a non-variable, a very sharp tack that was barely conscious, could much less walk upstairs nor run a country. We have this could be a compelling moment for that. But is it a compelling moment for now, when we have a Republican president, when we have a Republican House and Senate that haven't achieved very much of anything? They're trying to. I'm sure there's good people trying to do stuff there. But man, is that this moment that we're living in? Because it feels like this moment's a little bit more bipartisan. This moment, to me, feels a little bit more like, I don't care if you're Republican or you're a Democrat, if you're standing in the way of understanding who Jeffrey Epstein was and who he was working for and the kind of things he was up to, if you're standing in the way of disclosure of that to the public because of intelligence connections, and you think that's a legitimate reason, we're not on the same team. If you're a Republican, not on the same team. Democrat, not on the same team. If you are supporting this war in Iran blindly, without any concern for potentially what it appears to be, by the statements and the information that I've gotten so far, and I want to be told other information. I really hope this isn't true, that a foreign country drag us into this war by preemptively attacking them before we could finish negotiations. If what the statements of Marco Rubio were true, and Hegseth kind of intimated pretty similarly, and you support that, and you think that's a good this is a good thing, I'm very we're not on the same side, Republican or Democrat, because that's kind of a make or break issue in the Republican Party. If you want the Republican Party to do well, if you don't want the midterms to be awful, because this is an 80-20 issue, maybe a 70-30 if you're being very generous, but this war is less supported now than Vietnam War was at the end of the war, and we're only a week in. If you want the midterms not to be a disaster, you need to change your position on this war. I say that as someone who's worked for Republicans, worked for the Republican Party itself, who's helped elect Republicans, who cares about the health of the Republican Party, and I can't imagine how bad it's going to be. This is going to be 2006 kind of bad, guys. This could be 2008 kind of bad. I want you to think about that for a moment if you're in the Republican Party. We're not going to, obviously the president is up, and the president does have a much longer period of time to hopefully recover the Republican brand before the president is back up for election. But if this war drags on for 3 years, it could be in a lot of trouble. It could be very bad. And actually, I do want to note that this moment definitely, I'm sure there are some people who feel that this moment is a dichotomy of, do you support the president or not? But what if, is that the right way to think about it? Is that the Republican? And I mean that word like technically. In a republic, in a country ruled by the rule of law and governed by a constitution, not by man's will. Something that's governed by ideas, fundamentally, about what our culture is and who we are as Westerners, as Americans. If that's, is that compatible with this vision of what it means to be a Republican, is just supporting the president no matter what he does? Even if it's to cover up the Epstein files? Even if it's getting involved in an unconstitutional war? I don't think so. I don't think that's compatible. And that might play for a bit with a certain crowd. But I don't think and judging by the polling, if you check out our last episode, we revealed some polling from Drop Site News about support for the war and where we're at for how the American public are interpreting the war. And the American public, a substantial amount of them, are very open to this message that will become, I guarantee you, the press and the Democrats will make sure it happens, that the Iran war will be interpreted the same way that Trump interpreted Obama's incoming war with with Iran back in the day, that never actually materialized. And it was to cover for his lack of support or to cover for negative press. The same reason why supposedly Bill Clinton did some airstrikes in Iraq was to distract from Monica Lewinsky. So too is people, a large majority of Americans, look like they're open to the message. I don't think this is widely disseminated yet, but is a strong message, according to the Dropsite News polling, that suggests that they would believe this message that the president is doing Iran to cover up for the Epstein files. And there is some evidence of that. The Epstein files, no story, has dropped off a bit, and Google searches about Epstein have dropped off a bit. The interest is waning a little bit. So I think there's some compelling narrative that is going to form out of that. And I think it's going to be very bad for Republicans who are blindly standing with the president. Now, I see myself as someone who really wants the president to do well, who loved a lot of the things he had to say when he was running for election. I want him to be who he said he would be. And my biggest disappointment is he just doesn't seem that committed to it right now. I wanted Doge to work. I really wanted to see those Doge cuts put into the budget, but Republicans failed to accomplish that, really. I wanted to see those cuts to be sustainable and to be systemic. And there have been good wins that I'm happy about, and he's fulfilled some promises that I'm happy about. But one of the big ones, one of the most important ones, was the UAP disclosures. No, I'm just kidding. It was one of the big ones was no more endless wars in the Middle East. You say, well, this war isn't going to be endless. And it's like, that's what they all say. I was around in 2001. I was consciously aware of politics enough. I was a young man, but enough to remember that these things seemed transitory at the time. To remember the vibe, if you will, to put it in modern parlance. And it felt a lot like this in many dimensions, not all dimensions. And I do legitimately think that Trump wants to get out of this whole thing. But I do agree also with Thomas Massie that the war was illegal. And the only just thing that you can do if you're a congressman is put forward a war powers resolution. So why is that the attack vector in the Republican Party? The party of the rule of law, the party that says we are a republic, not a democracy, a republic. What does that mean? I'm genuinely curious. And please get in the comments and let me know if you're one of those people that really see loyalty as the president as the first metric, the first measurement of a good Republican. I want your defense below. Now, next I want to let's look at some campaign propaganda from the president in this campaign, put out by Turning Point Action. And it says, MAGA rallies are back, capital BACK. Trump haters are on notice. Trump haters, all those who hate Trump are on notice. He's back on the road, baby. And they're trying to get the vibes back. Yeah, we got some dancing. Oh, what do we got here?
Biden administration.
Oh, yeah. The president wants to save college sports.
Music. No one believes in the American industry like President Trump, the American worker. This is about a return to American strength.
Her tax refund was
type edits.
$1,000. With these slam dunk economic numbers, I'm very confident that we're going to get the American dream back.
Well, this.
I don't know about slam dunk economic numbers. That one just stood out to me just now. I was like, are we there yet? I mean, they've promised some, and you know, there might be some measurements I'm not seeing, but are you feeling that? I mean, it's my personal financial decisions, like drinking good drinks. But man, woo! I don't know about slam dunk economic numbers. Yeah, so trying to get the vibes back. Turning Point USA at a massive rally featuring Jake Paul, getting that youth vote excited again to unelect Thomas Massie. Stop Rhino Massie, Republican in name only. And I just, man, that's brutal. And there's a good debate going on in the comments here and in the community notes. But Massie responds with, what's gotten into y'all? Charlie Kirk, one of my favorite congressmen, Thomas Massie, #BigGovSucks. And one of the interesting things was I actually saw a clip today. I didn't grab it for you guys, but I do think it's worthwhile looking at Charlie talking about criticism of the intelligence services and why that's one of Thomas Massie's strengths. And I think that's a really important difference of awareness, of how awake, not woke, but awake that you really are. Do you understand the role that the intelligence services play in our republic, in undermining being a republic? And I'm not sure you could be a good Republican while advocating for, well, not advocating for, but rather just being blind to, I guess, the effects of intelligence agencies in our republic. And next, if you look at Turning Point Action's scorecard, Thomas Massie has an 86 and a lifetime score of 90. I'm a little disappointed by the scorecard. I'll be honest. It's not as detailed as I'd like, but largely he votes with them. Now, would Tom Gallerin probably vote with them? I would guess so. To the degree that Turning Point Action is an independent organization, not simply just repeating the administration's talking point, but rather has their own perspective on things that might separate from the administration. I assume Tom Gallerin is going to be a reliable vote for the Trump administration. In fact, that's the only talking point he has. In fact, it's the only thing he's for, apparently, is for whatever Trump is doing. And is that it? Is that really what it means to be a citizen in this country, is to support the president, whatever the policy is, even if the policy is direct contravention to his campaign promises? What if it's in direct contravention to being a Republican, whatever that means? And if it's an empty vessel, if it means nothing, then what are we doing here? Why are we a party? Why are we doing this whole thing? I mean, I keep it largely nonpartisan, but God, man, like, if we're not for anything, what's the point? Are we really just the factions that the founders talked about, that warned us of? That we're just going to be about the acquisition of power at all costs and not actually be for anything? We used to stand for a little bit more than that. We used to be the party of Reagan that actually kind of said, hey, we actually had some principles. And I wonder about that. I wonder where the party's going with this climate, because it doesn't look like it's going well, right? If they have to bus people in to get to this rally, the president's support might be waning. It's a bad sign, guys. There's a little editing here to put some redactions on it in the name of the Epstein files. But Thomas Massie tweets, they're paying to bus people to the Trump event in my congressional district. Well, what they'll discover is Trump fans in KY4, is Kentucky District 4, and across the entire Commonwealth also support my work on the Epstein files, renting and spending, ending forever wars, draining the swamp, and food freedom. So, yeah, they're busing people around, making it extra convenient. And then, so the question is, and the natural question is like, with the president coming in to oppose Thomas Massie, is he in trouble? You have a good question about that I think is worth noting, because the president classically has wielded a lot of power within the Republican Party, a substantial amount being of the Fox News crowd, but beyond that as well. I mean, he obviously won the popular vote, which is unique for a Republican in many ways. And it's, and he won out of every state. He won Kentucky convincingly, amongst others. So what does this mean? The Poly market suggests that Trump actually had a relatively positive benefit for Thomas Massie in this, if you notice the last day, he gets a nice bump up here, gaining about 10 points in the odds of success. If Trump is so far underwater amongst Republicans due to his support of the Epstein files and the starting of the Iran war, that is not good. And probably amongst other things too. I mean, I know some Second Amendment guys who are not happy with Trump, who were really hoping he would be better, where that's their top issue. And of course, a lot of the spending guys, they're also like, guys, this inflation's not going to end if we don't fix the federal budget. And Trump is not really winning there, guys. In fact, we cut taxes again rather than actually fixing the budget. So Kalshi has a similar. Obviously, they have a slightly different trajectory. We saw some convergence right before Trump's rally, in which case it hasn't even recovered. I mean, in the last couple hours, polling markets recovered a smidge, but we're back to where we were at in February. Well, yeah, late February, it looks like, on Kalshi. Now, why am I going with the betting odds and not polling? I typically like to go with polling as well, just because it's really the balance between the two. You get the best betting odds. You know, there's the wisdom of crowds, but there's also a madness to crowds. There's a trendiness to polling that can be very accurate in that it's noting trends, but it could also become a self-fulfilling prophecy where there's kind of cycles of reinforcement within polling. And then you have the unintended consequences of creating incentives for people to FOMO on polling. So if you're betting Thomas Massie wins, you might make some AI hype videos on Thomas Massie to try to bring about your bet. So the reason why we're not doing polling is because, well, there isn't any polling. The most recent polling we have is from last summer in public polling, before Ed Gallerin was even endorsed by the president. So we don't really understand where the numbers are at in a holistic manner. But with the absence of evidence, we're going to rely on the ones that we can, which is those poly market and Kalshi numbers are not looking good for the president. And if you combine that with the where we're at when it comes to war support and the Trump's overall approval, you're not looking super strong. He's definitely losing some support amongst Republicans. So who is this Ed Gallerin guy? He's a retired Navy SEAL and Trump endorsed challenger. That's about it. He's also a farmer. And we'll watch his pinned tweet, his top introduction to the nation.
Breaking news. He's President Donald Trump's hand-picked choice. Retired Navy SEAL Officer Ed Gallerin gaining Donald Trump's endorsement.
President Trump knows who to trust. Navy SEAL, Army Ranger, and fifth-generation Kentucky farmer Captain Ed Gallerin. A true America First patriot. Trump knows Captain Ed Gallerin is a winner who will not let you down. That's why Trump gives Ed Gallerin his complete and total endorsement.
I'm Ed Gallerin, and I approve this message.
Breaking news.
Ooh, yeah, that's a little old school, guys. In the modern campaign world, I wouldn't recommend the voiceover. At this point, it looks inauthentic. And the one thing you can't be is not human. We live in an AI world now. Don't get me wrong. No, not trying to take anything from Ed Gallerin. Apologies for saying his name wrong earlier. Man, I can't read names, especially when I'm tired. It's been a long day. So, you need to talk, Ed. You got to get out on the cameras and talk to a camera if you want to come across like a human being that's trustworthy. And simply having the president tweet about it, that you're trustworthy, is probably insufficient evidence in the current environment, I would suggest. So, but very impressive resume, SEAL, Army Ranger, and of course being a fifth generation Kentucky farmer. But where's the philosophy? What do you believe in, Ed? And it's simply not there. You look through his content and there's just not a lot there. I mean, he's got stuff written on a website, but once again, I need you saying it. I need you talking to me if you're a voter in Kentucky. Now, obviously you don't need to talk to me. I'm not in Kentucky, but I'm talking about from campaign strategy point of view. This is just not it. I do not recommend this in this current environment. It just doesn't make any sense. But here's some very incisive commentary from his tweet, attacking Thomas Massie. Now, Thomas Massie says, acts of war unauthorized by Congress. The U.S. is attacking Iran, according to AP. And he retweeted Kurt, Schlitzer, who is a columnist at Town Hall, that you can count on Thomas Massie to undermine our troops every single time. little typo there. Kentucky 4 deserves a patriotic Congressman, Ed Gallerin. Now, this guy is obviously doing access journalism, supporting the president's choice here so that he can hopefully get access to scoops. This guy's not doing the same sort of thing. He's not truth telling in this moment. Because this is obviously manipulation. Because questions obviously of constitutional validity have nothing to do with supporting our troops. In fact, what does undermine our troops who take an oath to the Constitution? What undermines them more? Unconstitutional wars or constitutional ones? If there is an unconstitutional war, isn't the thing that would support the troops who take an oath, not to the president, but to the Constitution, what would support them more if there's an unconstitutional war? Insisting on the constitutional process because we are a republic and Republicans, or not? Which one? I think it's a pretty clear choice that I come down on, and I hope that you agree, because it seems clear to me. So where we're at on campaign spending. Now, when you're looking at, if you're going to win, you got to look at how much money you're getting in, how much money you're spending out, how much money other people are putting in, pulling out, and where current support is, in which we've covered current support, and we covered the candidate, and everyone knows Thomas Massie, but, so I didn't feel the particular need to feature him because my audience will know, and I think the general public knows exactly who he is. And that's why I think he's doing relatively well. Despite everything, despite the Trump administration and a ecosystem of opposition, Thomas Massie is doing relatively well in the money game, at least according to the last FEC reports I was able to pull. The next report is in April, so we're late into this quarter, and it could be a major change in this next quarter. You never know. But I don't imagine with his incumbency and his connections and what he's been able to build in DC and nationally as a big figure. I mean, just take a look at the numbers here. I mean, he's got 1.7 million X followers, and Ed Gallerin is at 35,000. Relatively small for a congressman in running in one of those most highly spend districts in the country, and not raising as much money as you would anticipate, given that his national attention to take out such a dangerous threat to the Republicans as Thomas Massie, probably one of the best Republicans on any issue related to the question of what the Republicans are supposed to stand for: free markets, pro-life, Second Amendment, constitutionalism, Maha issues, so many of these. Thomas Massie's probably the gold standard on all of the scorecards that you could ask for if you're a policy wonk. And for regular people, he's a regular dude who comes across well on camera. He doesn't have any moments quite like Ed Gallerin's first shot that he just got. So where he's at on fundraising, Thomas Massie is at has raised $2.45 million and spent $1.17 million. So he's got an excellent start, especially for a congressional district. Cash on hand, he has $2.19 million cash on hand. So he had, of course, a war chest walking in. That kind of describes a little bit of that discrepancy there. Ed Gallerin has totally raised 1.2, so a little weak, especially compared to those numbers. Total spend is at $300,000 with a cash on hand of $933. So he's spending and not raising as much. Not good. Now, the overall outside ecosystem is really where the danger's at, because you have all these Israeli-aligned PACs coming in to spend against Massie, and how devastating is that going to be? How much would that matter? Now, congressional, kind of look at it like the outside PACs can lay a lot of the foundation, but they can't really build the house. The campaign has to build the house. You can't just have other people talk about you. You have to talk for yourself in order to gain the trust to really build the momentum of the campaign. So the Massie ecosystem has actually so far outspent the Gallerin ecosystem. So Massie's at 5 to 6 million, and Gallerin is at 4 to 5 million. So now we got a long ways left to go in campaign time for that to change, and I do expect it to change, but your early actions are stronger than your later actions in many ways. Now, there's really two variables. It's in establishing someone's mind, like who you are in someone's mind, and then the later actions are how you can play within the mind, within the way things have been establishing, either undermining the way things have established, reframing the way things are established, or attacking the way things have been established. And if they wait too long, They're going to have real challenges with trying to reform this because once he's established and he is an incumbent, so he's already walking in with strong salience in his district, and he's from that district, and he's been popular for quite some time in that district, it's hard to imagine that they're going to be able to reframe that substantially, especially with Ed Gallerin leading the charge because I'll be honest with you guys, and maybe he's a super nice guy, but he's not a very strong candidate so far from what I'm seeing. So it's estimated that this is almost an $11 million already spent in this race. So that's a surprising, extensively high for March in a district. And obviously this is all kicked off by Trump not liking that the Epstein files being released, which is understandable because his best buddy, Howard Lutnick, is all over those files. And his best buddy, Howard Lutnick, lied to the American people about it. Now, is that a reason that we shouldn't get to understand who Jeffrey Epstein is? What is the Republican thing to do there? Is it in service of the Constitution and the Republic, or are you in service of yourself, Mr. President? And I don't want it to be that, but you got to give me some reason as a free citizen of this country to understand otherwise. Because if you're out here saying, like, it doesn't matter, the Epstein files don't matter, it's a hoax, and I'm going to try to reframe everything that you understand about it just because my buddy Lutnick is in these, or other friends, as you told Marjorie Taylor Greene that it was the reason why you opposed releasing them was because it might hurt your friends. That's extremely disappointing for a Republican, because we're supposed to be about the health and the standards of our constitutional republic first. That's what it means to serve in office, not to hold office. We don't say that you're given an office. We say that you serve in office. So you don't work in that office, you serve in that office, because that's what a republic is. So lastly, I do want to note that amongst everything else, and you know, I get it, people have a little bit of fatigue on Epstein. But I did think this video was interesting on this, because at the end of the day, Thomas Massie led the charge. There are other women voters. There are 4 women who backed him up in the Republican Party who do deserve their credit for those votes. It's brave votes, standing up to the president, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and oh man, I'm spacing her name right now. And other Republicans that stood with Thomas Massie to make this happen. But because he was the tip of the spear and taking the arrows for it, any insights we gain, we have to be credited to Thomas Massie on this. So Rep. James Cormer revealed that Jeffrey Epstein's accountant has now identified 5 clients who paid money directly to him: the Rothschilds, Les Wexner, Leon Black, Glenn Dublin, and Steven Sinefsky. So not information we would have had before, much less especially the Rothschilds. Let's take a listen.
First of all, Mr. Khan's answering every question thus far. We've completed 2 full hours of depositions. I would say we are possibly at the halfway point. It could last more than 4 hours, but he confirmed there were 5 clients that paid money to Epstein, and that was Les Wexner, Glenn Dubin, Steven Sinofsky, the Rothschilds, and Leon Black. We've already deposed Wexner, and we're going to be deposing Leon Black very soon.
So what he's talking about is this gentleman named Richard Kahn, who's been his accountant and Epstein's accountant and bookkeeper since 2005, managing financial records, transactions, corporate media entities, stuff like that. So Kahn was appointed as the co-executor of Epstein's estate, along with Epstein's lawyer, Darren Indyke. It was just days before Epstein died. In that role, he helped manage the estate, including the settlements paid to victims and survivor compensation fund and things like that. So he testified yesterday, this would be March 11th, in a closed-door deposition before the House Oversight Committee as part of the ongoing probe into Epstein's finances. Now, the reason why I'm giving this credit to Thomas Massie is because the House Oversight Committee's done this work, but the the media attention to this has not waned, in part because of the Epstein files release. Now, if this had come out before, Do you think they would have mentioned the Rothschilds here? Or could the accountant have held that back? Now, notice a lot of these names have already been released, and some of these names I don't recognize and want to look into further. But the fact that we are on this verge where we can it's not just the testimony here. The public just doesn't have the testimony of this guy. We also have the documents. We have Ariane de Rothschild and what she was saying and emailing Jeffrey Epstein. Of course, the accountant has said he was not aware of Epstein's crimes, including the money laundering. Come on, bro. Come on. He described the relationship as strictly professional and says there was no red flags and transactions and illegal activity. I don't know how you could have that many, moving around of prostitutes to not be. But yeah, okay, dude. Lawmakers questioned him about Epstein's source of wealth, specific payments, including some victims and related parties, and named individuals allegedly connected to funding operations. And that's where we get into Lex Western, Leon Black, Glenn Dublin, and others. So I think this, a testimony is valuable in corroborating, but doesn't stand well on its own. Especially when you look at, the prosecution of JP Morgan and Deutsche Bank and things like everything that's kind of happened around those reputational. And then on top of that, that's always kind of lingering in the background, the financial crimes angle of this, that obviously he could not step forward and say, well, yeah, we were doing all these financial crimes. We need the hard evidence of that. And for that, we need a lot more of the files. The administration is supposed to release all of them and has not released more. Now, there was a message from a leaked rumor, I think, about a week ago that there would be another Epstein Files release, a couple 10,000 pages. We'll see. But here's where we're at, guys. If you're like me and you really liked a lot of Trump's rhetoric on the campaign and you were excited, you thought he was better than Kamala, because it was hard to not be better than Kamala. But you were excited, at least that they were saying positive things that you're really hoping would be true. And now we're in this situation where he's president. You really want him to embody those values. And when he doesn't, if you're afraid to speak up and say something, how do we make anything better? How do we embody the nobility of the idea of the citizen if we don't speak up, if we don't say, hey, I don't think this is a good right direction to go? And those people who are saying, if you're not loyal to the president, you're not a good Republican, you're not a good American, you're with the terrorists, or you're insufficiently supporting the troops by criticizing the legality of the war, like that idiotic tweet earlier. Man, we have lost our way. And it's once again feeling very 2001-ish again with that sort of rhetoric. And that was a low point for the Republican Party. It really lost our soul that we weren't able to regain until the Tea Party revolution. And I really hope not to go 10 years without a Republican Party that's healthy and has integrity, has a energy and dynamic that is looking towards things that matter again, like the big ideas. Like, what are we pursuing power for exactly? Is it to save the country? Using the ideas that are traditional ideas that built our country in the first place? The things that we inherited from our ancestors? Those values mattered. And we're kind of losing that with this. So I hope we can find our way back there and find our way back there now. Otherwise, 2026 is going to be an absolute disaster. So thank you so much for watching Human Reaction. We'll catch you guys next time. Peace.
Thanks for tuning in to Human Reaction. Please be sure to like, follow, subscribe, and give us a review on your podcast platform of choice. And if you want to become a member and support the show financially, check out humanreactionpod.com.